That's what I'm talking about, son. Get you some of that daggone pie.
Woo-hoo! Looky there. There's your bug-eyed big one right there.
Getting started. We're getting started.
Here's what I'm talking about. Gosh dang gorilla.
Let's go, baby. Straight meat. God, look at that biggin.
All right, well, welcome in everybody to the BAM Pod. This is going to be a really interesting one because right now I'm looking at like 11 different pages here, 11 different people talking. And what we're going to be doing tonight is we're going to be talking to Bass Angler Magazine owner, Mark Lassagne, and we're going to be hosting a bunch of questions and hoping you guys can, if you want to text in, if you want to jump in and be a part of this, you can go on and join the meeting and listen to it there. Or if you're hearing this on the podcast, you've already passed and I hope we answer all the questions that you actually have. So Mark, thanks for doing this tonight and coming up with this suggestion. It should be a good show.
Yeah. Hopefully we can answer some questions we got a lot of questions across the board from a lot of different people at a lot of different venues. So hopefully we can cover some of these and clear anything up or, let people know what's going on.
All right. Well, first I want to start a little bit with this because, I want to lead off with this, I guess, with Mark. You were doing pretty good out there, with Bass Angler Magazine. Life was going pretty well. You've been doing this for like 15 years and you built this magazine that's just become a powerhouse, out here on the West Coast and across the country anymore, and even in other countries and everything, people really know about it. You're fishing all the major tours. You were, Apex, MLF, WWBT, some One Bass events. You're even looking at some Tackle Warehouse stuff. And I don't want to say out of the blue with this whole thing, but here's the question I really have is, out of everything you were doing, you were fishing 250 days a year. You were everywhere out there. You've seen some of the turmoil, some of the way that these things go. What made you decide to do this tournament trail, to just start this up out of nowhere?
Well, the whole demise of Wild West is what brought this on. Otherwise, I would just still be fishing rather than being a tournament circuit owner. When Wild West folded and the Apex Trail went away, for me, that left a giant void. And I felt that way for a lot of other anglers. So I'm going to tell you, I thought the Apex Trail was pretty cool. I garnered about 70 grand a year in sponsorships being able to fish that. So, and that's from a guy. Now I'm a guy who has never won a major tournament. I've won some little ones. I've had a bunch of top 10s and things like that, but I've never won a major tournament. And there's a lot of you guys that have won a lot more than I have. Right. And I'm garnering 70 grand a year from fishing this tour. So I'm thinking, how on the West Coast can guys do this without a tour like that? So that was it. There was this big void, and I felt that this needed to be filled. I wasn't sure who else could do it on the West Coast, and there was nobody else really that had the ability to do it. So that's why I jumped in and did that. I really felt that the Apex Tour had something great going for the last 3 years, and I wanted to continue on down that road with the BAM Pro Tour. I felt the format and everything was fun, the camaraderie, everything was great with the guys. And, I really didn't want to see that go away. And I felt that if I didn't jump in, it would have gone away. So that's kind of the gist of why I did this.
How much of this was thought out and going over this for the years with the magazine there? Was that part of what you were doing is really saying, hey, you know what, I've got this great magazine. And I think one of the big things that I'd ask you is, one, what is your goals for the BAM tour? And two, what, as with that, is the magazine going to be a big part of this tour?
Yes, the magazine will be a big part. I built the magazine over the years as a how-to guide for guys to catch more fish. So it basically, the circuit complements the magazine and the magazine complements the circuit. I'm going to take a portion of the magazine and use it to promote the BAM tour, the pro tour, the tournaments, and the kayaks events.
Mm-hmm.
So the magazine will play a big part. In short, my goal is to create a professional tour better than anybody has ever done on the West Coast. I think that my media presence and the way I understand media, understand sponsorships, I believe that I can do a great job at putting these events on. I can work to spotlight the professional anglers. We can have a great spot on the website for each guys. I can help anglers get sponsorships and help them work with their sponsorships, to help bring them up, bring their level up, because a lot of guys are, struggling with that. I can leverage our media platforms to help the anglers and help our sponsors. My goal, I guess, is one thing is to promote all of you pro tour anglers into household names. I want you to go, when you go down the street and a fisherman pulls up and goes, "Hey, you fish the BAM Pro Tour, right?" And and I want people to feel good about it. I really think I can create that.
Okay. I mean, I feel like you're right. I feel like that can happen out here, and I think it's about time that it does happen. I see a lot of people, we don't know how many people have joined yet. We don't know where you got up, but where did the qualified invitees come from? Like, where did you get these anglers that you're inviting to come fish this tour? Where did they come from?
Oh, good question. So we worked really hard to get the best of the best on the West Coast. So no easy task. So first off, I took all the guys that were fishing Apex prior and sent them all an invite to this tour. I figured they already qualified for it, so they were just able to join it. Then I took the top 12 from last year, from 2023, from MLF, One Bass, and the Wild West Bass Trail. I took the top 12 of each of these tours. So I try to combine all the best of every circuit in order to create this BAM Pro Tour.
Okay. And how many people did you end up inviting?
So our total invite was around 74. So a few questions I've had a lot. I've had a lot of questions. How many people are fishing? Well, the website's been live 2 weeks. Okay, so and as you know, most bass fishermen procrastinate a little bit, so it takes a little while. We have in a neighborhood of 20 anglers that have already paid their deposit and over 30 that have committed. So we have a good number that have committed. I'm going to say we have 7 that declined out of 74. So there's still a giant group that has another month and a half or 2 months to, come up and really decide if this is going to work for them. And once we get to that point, once we get to, let's say, January, and we get to the end, and possibly if we don't have enough anglers, I may work down the lists a little bit. I'm not going to work down too far, because I want this to be the elite group of anglers on the West Coast, the guys that earned it, that qualified and that fish well and understand it, and that want to come along for the ride. So that answers the question.
I think it does, but it leaves me one little question here that when you say that this is, so I'm guessing that this is the first year you're talking about, this year that's coming up. This is the one that you're only going to go down that list a little ways, because next year and I think this happened with WWBT is there were so many people that actually wanted to qualify for this event. Now you're going to create this circuit out here, this pro tour out here that people are going to want to be a part of. Do you think the numbers are going to grow and totally, like this year was 74? How many do you want to go to? What is your field going to grow to? Or what do you want it to grow to?
I'm thinking 60 is a good round number for the field to be. Next year, will I take them from one bass and MLF? Good question. I don't think so. I mean, I'm not going to say 100% that I won't, but I don't think so. I think I really want the guys to fish our tour and qualify that way. If you take Major League Fishing, how they started out, they took a bunch of anglers. Obviously, they took them from Bass and MLF, but there wasn't really a qualifying for them. They just invited a number of people, and then from then on, now they have to qualify to get to that level. And we really want to work in that same fashion. I want it to be an elite group, a professional tour for the West Coast. Not just some guys that we wanted to get in there. It's not a good old boys club. It's really, we want the best of the best.
And I think now you said 60 and it started off at 74. So you're going to cut the field a little bit next year just for the top guys that qualify?
No, well, we invited 74 this year out of, the Apex Tour, the Wild West, AOY, One Bass AOY, and MLF AOY. So, which ended up being 74 invites out of the total.
Okay. And you think out of that, hopefully you'll get 60 that'll be consistent?
Honestly, I don't think we'll get out of those 74. I don't think we'll get 60, but we could get 40 to 50, I believe. And then moving forward, we'll probably take them from the Pro-Am circuit, the BAM Pro-Am circuit.
All right. The next question I really have for that is something that I think was lost last year on a lot of different things. And I hope you're going to be transparent with this, but the entry fees, and the paybacks and all, and this, that sort of thing, the schedule was always pretty well known and open with some of the other circuits, but what's the entry fee and the payback going to be on this event?
Yeah. And we'll have all this stuff will be listed up on the website.
Right.
Like I said, the website's only been up a couple of weeks. We really wanted to get it so we could get members in, get deposits, and get things rocking that way. There's a giant CRM system behind the website, which was a big part of it. So aesthetically, it still needs some work. Still have to get angler profiles up and things like that. But to be transparent, we're not going to hide the entry fees. We're not going to hide the payback. We realize that the Pro Tour is really, entry fees is a part of it, but I don't think it's the biggest part. I think the media and what we can do for the anglers is the biggest part of it. So the entry fee, to answer your question back around, is $22.50. Payback is 85%. We're going to pay 1 in 3.
Okay.
All right.
That's a good payback.
85. It's actually a little bit more than 85%. We're going to take a portion out for Angler of the Year. We're going to take a portion out for the championship for each event. I think it's $200 for the championship, and then $100 for the Angler of the Year. Where the end of the year Angler of the Year is going to be, it's listed on the website. So I think it's 10 grand. It's what it's what we anticipated it to be.
Okay. Because I know you've already put the schedule out in a couple different places, but to kind of, for this show, for this pro, what's some of the schedule going to be, just to get people kind of hearing about it again and excited in their mind about some of because I know we're going all over the place. I've seen my schedule of what I'll be working, and I know we're moving.
You're going along. And for those of you who don't know, Ed is going to be the MC at the events. So he'll get to know all you very well and know your accomplishments and be able to, talk and hype you guys up on stage. So we look forward to that. So the first one is in Arizona, and I want to tell you where it's going to be, but I don't know yet. I'm still working on that. So much event planning is a big deal. So we can go into why it's a big deal. But the first one's going to be in Arizona. So I'm looking for a good place in Arizona. I think it's April. I have the date listed somewhere. It's Arizona in April. So I'm looking for a spot that's going to be really good fishing. We could have good community support, and it's hopefully not too far away for all of us, Northern California guys. Then we're going to go to Arlington or Almanor in May. That could change because there's another event in Almanor at that same time. So I know one hotel is all booked up. So that may change, maybe Trinity, maybe somewhere else that's, a good venue, but somewhere here in California. Then we're going to go to Arlington or Boardman in July. I have Oroville After Bay in September. Championship is in the California Delta with Oakley. So Oakley is one of our sponsors. Now we brought them on board. So they're going to play a big role. We'll have a meeting place. They're going to help us with local media, hopefully get some extra TV in and, doing some good things to help promote the tour and the anglers.
Bass Angler Magazine is your guide to better bass fishing. Bass Angler is dedicated to helping you catch more and bigger bass no matter what time of year or where you live. This is not your ordinary fishing magazine. Every issue is jam-packed with 30-plus articles from the world's best bass anglers. Bass Angler Magazine is available at bassanglermag.com, Tackle Warehouse, Bass Pro Shops, Cabela's, Gander Mountain, Walmart, and better tackle shops everywhere. Bass Angler also makes a great gift for any angler. Get Bass Angler today and start catching more bass tomorrow. Visit bassanglermag.com or your favorite tackle shop. This is not your ordinary fishing magazine. bassanglermag.com.
You in there, you said, you mentioned the championship, and you mentioned earlier about pulling money out for that. Is there going to be a large prize for the championship, or are you doing? Are you going to be doing?
We are working on that. I'm in talks with like 10 different companies. Some boat companies, truck companies. Different venues working on some bigger prizes. That's one of the scheduling things is that do I work on the schedulers, do I work on sponsors, do I work on big prizes, kind of spread in a lot of different areas. So I'll tell you, I'm working on that. What do we have, 11 months before the championship? So there's some time, and who knows what could happen. There's a lot of things in the works, a lot of good things going on. And, we have a title sponsor. We have Oakley on board. We have Bob's Machine. We have a real estate company. We have Sticky Graphics, and a few other interested parties. And we haven't even put on an event yet.
Right.
So that's saying a lot. We have quite a few people, and we have yet to put on a bass tournament. Bass Angler Magazine has never put on a bass tournament ever, and we've already garnered, 6 figures in sponsorship money. So, which is a good thing. So, we're not there yet. If you knew how much it costs to put on an event, it's crazy. Okay. So we're making a lot of progress. Things are going well. Will it be a big prize? We're working on that.
What about entry fee for the championship? Are you going to do an entry fee for the championship?
For the Pro-Am, it's going to be a no entry fee championship. For the Pro Tour, I believe there'll be a championship with an entry fee, because with the championship, I can possibly offer a larger prize. And it's a logistical thing, and every tournament circuit does it, that you can work to buy a larger prize. Let's say I can get a $60,000 prize, and it may cost me $25,000. So if we can get near that $25,000 first place mark, and I can buy a $60,000 prize with that $25,000, now I can give away a much larger prize for first place versus just cash. So right now, I believe there's going to be an entry fee. That's the way I have it set up in the system, that there will be an entry fee. If there's a way to work around that, maybe we get some great sponsors come in, and some things happen that are wonderful, and then we can always change. It's easier for me to go away from an entry fee than it is to go, hey, all right, you guys got to pay now.
Right. With everything coming up, you and I have talked about this before, and kind of what you're going to go. But if I'm a pro tour angler and I'm coming in here, or I'm just an aspiring one, what are some of the opportunities? What are some of the things, some of the tangibles, the opportunities that you're going to provide? Because I think that's something that these guys who are really wanting to make a name out here on the West Coast, that's what they're looking for. And what are you going to offer them that's a little different?
Yeah, that's a very good question. And, so many times I'm just getting in front of the camera and making sure that you're talking about your sponsors. So I realized that it's not just the guy winning the tournament that gets all the exposure. Obviously, we need to talk about him. He won the tournament. What did he do? How did he catch him? And he gets the limelight, because he won, no matter who it is.
Right.
But also there's a whole group of other guys that still, those guys need that exposure. So I'm going to work, I'll work with the guy at the top. I'm going to work with the guy at the middle, and I'm going to work with the guy at the bottom, because so many events, take Table Rock, for example, last, a week and a half ago with me. I did horrible the first day. I really caught him in practice and then did horrible in a tournament. Well, there's a story there, and that could make a good story. And there's those guys that finish way down the bottom that have a good story. And so those need to be told along with the guy at the top. And I realize that, and I really want to work hard to get all of those guys in there. I want to get as many guys in there as possible. So what we're going to do is we're going to do a 1 hour YouTube and streaming TV show. So rather than, half an hour, you get 21 minutes to cover all of the guys in in this 21 minutes. Now with an hour, 21 minutes, because you have commercials, if you didn't realize that. Now an hour, now I have 42 minutes. So let's say we have 40 guys. I can go, give each guy a little bit of time, or I can give 20 guys 2 minutes, or whatever it may be. I can cover a wide array of anglers across the board, because I realize that sponsors want to see the exposure. And when you're on there and you're up there, you're holding up a Yamamoto Senko and going, yeah, this is the best bait ever. Yamamoto's going to go, hey, good job, man. We appreciate you getting us on camera. Or whoever it is, Strike King or Yamaha or Bass Cat or whoever it may be, when you're working on that sponsor, getting in front of the camera is a big deal.
Okay. There's so much that you offer with the magazine. Is anything what are you going to use with the magazine to really get people exposure that way? Are you going to run articles of the winners, the champions, just talk about what they did? What is it that you bring the magazine into on this?
So for the magazine alone, I'm going to dedicate I believe it's about 10 pages, which is nearly $100,000 in space, in magazine space for the tours. Of course, we're going to cover the kayak, we're going to cover the Pro-Am, and we're going to highlight the Pro Tour. We're going to do angler profiles in there in the magazine. We're going to do stories with winners and with losers, because all of us generally suck more times than we do well. It's just nature of the beast. It's just the way it is. So when we suck, it's still nice to get a little bit of exposure, and kind of makes you feel better, lift you up. And, because after you've done horrible in a tournament, you don't feel very good for a couple of days. So to have somebody boost you up a little bit, I think is good. So we will do that. We're going to cover a lot of people within the magazine itself.
So with a little bit of that, you talked about what you're going to be doing for the anglers out there with this tour. What are you expecting from the anglers? What is it that you have and say, look, you guys want to be a part of this? This is what we're kind of expecting from you.
I expect everybody to be professional, obviously, and and help us grow, by spreading the word. You spread it on your social media and your platforms, help us to, if you have sponsors and you can send some our way, or at least send a recommendation is always good. We're gonna have a community day. Like Sunday is gonna be community day, and obviously, after, especially if you had a bad tournament, you want to go home. But still, we're gonna need a few people to hang back, do a community day on Sunday. We want to do some commentary. We'll have a few guys that will get on camera and do some commentary where we can follow the top 10 guys around. We can talk with them and cover some things and really do some more things. And that's another good way to get your name out there and also, build your brand itself. We'll do a lot of 30 to 60-second video tips with anglers. And a lot of it will be on, the angler sponsor products. How to use, why is this rod good, or why should I use this line, or what is this bait good for? Things like that. We're going to do pre, during, and post video interviews with not only the winter guys, but we're going to talk about, all the guys across the board. We're going to help guys with their sponsors, at these things. Sponsors are gonna have the ability to represent at the pre-tournament meetings. Let's see. We also, one thing.
What about like the boat wraps and jerseys that were kind of a part of last year's bigger tours? What about some of like things like that? What about them having a social media platform, or what do the anglers need to bring to your event? I mean, this is you know as well as anybody, you can always do something, but what can the anglers do? I mean, what are you looking at and going, hey guys, being professional is great, but you know what? When you're out there, we want to see you in a jersey. We want to see you in a boat wrap. We want to see you, on your own social media, or owning it, or, microphone, television, anything on the boat, any way to show. Is that something you're looking for so that you can get that kind of helping them grow? Is that something you're?
Yeah, that's part of being professional. For the pro tour, your boat will have to be wrapped, and we need to approve those. The approval process is pretty easy. Just send me a picture. We have the decals. So unless you're using Corey over at Sticky Graphics, he has the decals. But if not, then I have the decals here, or Lindsay will have them when you sign up. She'll send those to you. Yes, you have to wear jerseys during the event. We expect you to act professional. Help us help you promote on your social platforms. We're going to give you microphone, television time. So I wanted to back up and talk a little bit about, the BAM media, what we have.
Okay.
So if you look at, let's just look at our Facebook. So there's a lot of great circuits out there, One Bass and American Bass and BBT and all those guys. But if you take all of their Facebook and double it, we still have more than them. So that's on the West Coast. Our reach, our monthly reach, 28-day reach on Facebook is between 250,000 and 1.2 million. Wow. That's our reach. 28 days, we can reach 1 million anglers. 1 million. I mean, that's huge. There's nobody on the West Coast that can say they do that. They can do that. So a giant reach. I can send an email out that's going to go out to 200 media sources and 2,000 tournament anglers on the West Coast, right? And we're going to reach 100,000 anglers. 100,000. Those aren't West Coast anglers, obviously, because I don't know if there's
Right.
100,000 in the West Coast. That's across the country. But
Right.
what I'm saying is that our press releases are going to get out to 100,000 people. So our YouTube has close to 1 million views, and we haven't even started putting the tournaments up. When we put the tournaments up, I mean, it's going to blow up. What else? Our website reach. We get 25,000 unique users hitting our website every single month. 25,000 anglers are going to our website every month. So what that means for you guys is that for each event, we're going to do 5 press releases, right? Probably 6, because I'm going to start doing them here shortly. We're going to do a pre-event press release where Jody Only is going to call a couple people that are familiar with an area. We'll do an article. We'll put it up on the website, on the BAM TT website, where it'll give guys a little idea of what to use, you know, and all that, baits and different things. And then we're going to do a pre-event press release, just like MLF. We're going to do a first day press release, second day press release, final day press release, and then a top 10 press release covering the baits and all that. So Jody Only's going to do them all, and then Terry Brown is going to do the final press release on the final day. So those are press releases I'm going to send out to 2,000 anglers and 200 different media sources. And we have a group of media partners that are really helping us get it out there. You know, and combined, that's how we get to the 100,000 anglers.
Hey folks, Randall and I want to talk to you real quick about choosing the right electronics mount for your bass boat.
Mark and I have been partnered with Bass Boat Technologies from the very beginning, and we know the quality and effort that Van Foster has put into this company.
Custom, that's the one thing that I think about whenever I think of Bass Boat Technologies. Van Foster has spent years, not hours, years perfecting these mounts. He works with just about every bass boat company out there, most models for every bass boat company out there. He has spent the time working on these bass boats. So what you get is a custom fitted mount, not some mass produced universal mount for every bass boat out there. Van makes them custom fit for your bass boat.
Bass Boat Technologies also makes a lot of other custom parts. Seat pedestal plugs, tool holders, steering wheel spacers, and battery trays are all made with the same attention to detail that Bass Boat Technologies is known for.
Bass Boat Technologies is a vital part of our livelihood, and it's very important to your overall boating experience also.
Absolutely, and that's why we choose Bass Boat Technologies. Check them out at bassboattech.com. You'll be glad you did.
Right. Okay. So, you know, going off of that, I guess that really shows that if you want to become an angler out here, you know, if you're going to be a pro tour angler and you want to get your exposure, you want to talk about what you're going to be doing for your sponsors, this is absolutely going to be one of the best tours going to be a part of, and being able to reach that many people with a post. Now, as this grows a little more, do you see your reach growing even further?
You know, I think it's going to quadruple over the next year.
Okay.
I mean, look what Wild West did, you know, with theirs. And, you know, they started with next to nothing. And I'm starting out with hitting 1 million, you know, 1 million anglers. And now we're going to do nothing but grow. So, you know, I think it's going to be amazing. And I think for any angler that is sponsored or wants to be sponsored, this is going to be an amazing tour. For anglers that are in the industry and have, yeah, like myself, I had a magazine. So being on tour helped the magazine grow. You know, guys like, you know, Jake Boomer that has a rod line. I mean, he'd be silly, hi Jake, not to compete. Yeah, you know, because he has the opportunity to promote his rod line. You know, guys that have a bait line or a rod line or something within the industry, and you want to promote that. I mean, we're giving you the platform. I mean, you're getting thousands and thousands of dollars of PR advertising basically for nothing.
And that kind of leads me to my last question. And after this, I think we'll open it up to anybody that has some questions or anything like that, anything that we didn't cover. But what, leading off of what you just said, what is it that as a pro tour angler, or what is it that these guys should really be pursuing and looking for, with your tour? This is something I think is going to be, yes, it's going to be new, but it's, tournaments aren't new, but what's going to be the new thing about your tour that these guys should be going, this is why I'm coming here, because of this? Give me that one thing.
Well, I mean, we have the highest payback in the industry. I mean, just to start out. I mean, if you want to just go fish for money, we have the highest payback in the industry. So, I mean, you can't argue with that. We're paying back almost 90%. And, and I mean, that possibly could increase. We'll see how the sponsor deal goes and that. But I think media and exposure is really where it's at. And we're heads and tails above, pretty much any circuit out there,
Yeah.
Except for Bass and MLF, which are two 800-pound gorillas. We're right there below them. And I'm working every day to garner new partnerships. I work really close with MLF. So we do a lot of things together. They're actually an advertiser in the magazine. So, the carrot for most anglers is going to be, they will be able to leverage their sponsorships. Now, at the beginning of this, I told you I leveraged about $70,000 over and above what I was making before Apex, when Apex came out. 70 grand. That's a lot.
Yeah.
That's a lot. I mean, yeah, I fish for a living. I was fishing 250 days a year, which I won't be now because I won't be fishing these tournaments. But but that's a lot of money. So, and like I said, that's a lot of money for me. I'm not a rocket science. So a lot of guys are a lot smarter than me. They want a lot more than me, and they can garner that same kind of money. You just have to go out and get it. You have to work for it. And I don't mind helping guys, letting them know what I know, doing what I can to help. But, the media is what drives sponsors. So it's all about, when I talk to sponsors, it's about what can I give them? So when you do a sponsor report, there's some guys out here, Ish and Ken and Jake, and a few guys will do a sponsor report for their sponsors. And within that, there's a value that you get. If you do, let's say you do an article in Bass Angler, okay? Do a 3-page article, that's worth $7,500 to a sponsor. Right? Each post is worth, I think it's like $20. And then for every like comment is worth like 50 cents. So if you get, you put up a post and you get 100 comments on it, there's like $30 that is sponsor value. So, and the Pro Tour anglers are going to have an extra venue to help them with these exposure numbers, and I'll break that out as soon as I have a little more info on it. But that's something that's coming down the line that I'm going to be able to offer the Pro Tour anglers this venue for free, which is going to be really cool. That will help them use that in order to show their current sponsors what they're doing for them. I will have a company overview of this sponsor platform that I can look and I can say, okay, hey, Nick has been really talking a lot about Strike King, and I can talk to Strike King and go, hey, you know what, Nick is really knocking you guys out of the park. You might think about working it out or deal with him. Or, and I'll be privy to that kind of information, which no other circuit does. So, besides just the media factor and what that gives the sponsors is, you got me helping you out. And I think a lot of things that we can do that will really help you build your career as a fisherman.
All right. Well, that was pretty much the last of my questions that I had for you, Mark. Is there anybody? I don't know how to quite get these out to see what's there. I don't know. You can either chat, type it into the chat here or
I think
whatever.
they
But if
can
you have
type it
a
in the
question,
chat if
yeah,
anybody has a question.
if
Sure.
you've got a question, any questions that we missed or something you want to know, please. I think this is the time. We've got about 20 more minutes left of this show. So if you want to come in and talk about it, type it in there. I would say raise your hand, but most everybody's got their cameras off now. So go ahead. Let's see some of the questions. And if we got them all, then great. I mean, that's I'm glad we did. But that's what we were here for. Mark and I had talked about quite a few things about, what this tour was going to bring and what it is going to bring and what it's going to mean to the West Coast. And I hope that, anybody out there that's going to be listening to this podcast or listening to this show right now, that you understand that I think the biggest thing personally that I've seen with this is Mark being an angler, and understanding what you guys are looking for, understanding what we need on the West Coast as far as, the kind of promotions we need, the kind of media output, what he can do and who he can talk to and who he knows in this industry. So, yeah, I mean, it's I think this tour is definitely on its way and should be a really good tour for the years to come. But if you got any questions,
I did get a text and it asked about profiles.
Sure. Profiles.
So
okay.
on our website, we will have a place. So those of you already signed up for the BAM tour or, for the BAM membership, I'm sure filled out the profile or at least got most of it on there. And we will have a place where we're going to showcase the anglers on the website. So showcase, what you've done, your earnings, a little bit about you, a bio. And then we're also, at each event, we're going to take a lot of pictures. So, I'm not exactly sure. MLF has it down pat how they do theirs. And maybe I'll work with them a little bit and see how they figured out how to get each of their angler pictures on their bio. So, but I'd like to do something like that where we have a lot of pictures and archive of them. Because I know that when I do a story with a guy, I'm looking for pictures. And if the guy angler doesn't have any pictures, then it makes it really tough to do a magazine story with them. So if you have a venue where you can go grab those pictures, it makes it nice. And so we also plan to provide that.
Yeah, and I know that me doing the podcast still, when I look out there and I'm looking for your guys' pictures, I'm looking for something decent. Sometimes it's really hard. Even some of the best pros out there don't have great pictures. So, Mark does a great job of making sure there's some really good pictures in the magazine, that sort of thing. And sometimes that's just where I have to go to find your stuff. So, being a part of that, I think having what he's talking about, having those profiles, I remember back in the day, somebody did something like that. And it was really neat to see, hey, this is how much they earned this year. This is how much they did this year. This is what they've, promoted. This is their sponsors, and having those kind of a background angler profiles that like you just said, Mark, those are special. I think people really enjoy seeing that out there.
I think so. I think the fans will see it. So, I mean, and something else we didn't cover, we'll be working pretty close with Tourney X, which they have a giant platform, hundreds of thousands of users. So we're going to work with those guys in order to be able to showcase our standings. And the standings are going to be really easy to find on the website. I know, if you fish out west and you fish various tours, Wild West included, the standings and the live broadcasts are really difficult to find. Where are they? You have to go through 6 layers to find them. We're going to have them front and center on the website where it's really easy to find. Fans can see them. People can tune in and find out. Because Tourney X, when Apex was going on, they had thousands and thousands of anglers, excuse me, looking at those standings to see where people were.
Right off of what you just said there, I have a message in a question here about standings, and it just says, all it says is, how fast are you going to have the standings up? Because I think a lot of people I think people like to see them as they're driving home that night. How fast will it be that the standings get put up?
Tired of searching through ads to find bass articles in your favorite fishing magazine? Well, we have a solution for that. Introducing Bass Angler Magazine with over 30 articles in every issue, filled with tips and techniques to help you catch more fish. Follow the pros as they publish the most up-to-date seasonal methods to catching bigger bass. Whether you're a beginner or professional angler, make Bass Angler Magazine part of your gear today. Be a part of the fastest growing bass publication in the nation. Log on to bassanglermag.com with code TV and save 20% when you subscribe now.
I'd like to have them up right away.
Okay.
Obviously, there's, with standings, there's things that happen. There's disqualifications, there's penalties, there's things that may have happened that might take a little bit of time, because you weigh in, you go, oh yeah, Joe had 12 pounds and Bill had, 11 pounds, 8 ounces. And the next guy had, 11 pounds even. And there you have 1, 2, 3. But you didn't know that the guy in first place had a 2-pound penalty. Well, now he bumps down. So, that takes a little time to get that up, and because we want to make sure it's squared away. We don't want to put the winner up. We've seen it happen where, oh yeah, this guy won. Oh, wait a minute, he didn't win, back up. And we don't want to do that. And also the goal, it didn't come up in any of the questions, but its payout is that we plan on paying at the ramp. So I realize that some ramps, there's some things, maybe some tax implications and some things that may happen where we won't be able to, where we will pay within 5 days. We'll mail a check out or pay electronically, whatever the anglers want. So, but my goal is to pay. I hate owing people money. If anybody that's dealt with me knows that if I owe you money, I just want to pay it and be done with it. And because I just, I don't like, if I borrow something from you, I want to give it back. If I owe you money, I want to pay it. If I don't pay you, it's because I forgot, which, that could happen. Not with this deal. But I like my stuff squared away. As in the Marine Corps, I like things squared away and
right.
And well taken care of.
Now, and that's the money, the whole money thing is it's a slippery slope to talk about, but I know it's one that is going to be, talked about for at least this year, probably just going in. I can understand that. Yeah. How is this tour looking? I mean, I think that's what ended up happening with WWBT was everybody taught, everybody, this thing happened and it's out there and it happened. Okay. But how is your tour looking that way? You're not going anywhere. This is something you're looking at for the next 8, 10, 20 years. I mean, you've got a few years left in going, we hope. So
we'll see how many years I have left. We'll see how that goes. So I'm financially sound. I don't have a lot of money. People know me. I know, just a regular guy that's worked hard all his life. But I'm okay. Okay. I'm going to tell you that every penny that has come in to the BAM tournament trail is in the account. I haven't touched it for anything. So not the registration money, not the deposits, not anything, and nothing. I don't believe anything is going to come out until we start tournaments. I may take it out and put it into an interest-bearing account, so at least it's doing something in the interim. But I'm good. The money's not going anywhere. People that know me, I have an 800 and something credit score. So obviously, if you owe people money, you're not going to have a good credit score. Not that I need to put that out there, but. No, but people should know who they're dealing with, and other circuits I don't think they know, and I'm transparent, maybe sometimes too transparent, but I like people to know who I am, where I'm coming from, what I'm about. You have a question, I'm pretty much an open book.
No, and I think that's very important. I think with these guys, all these guys on this screen that I'm looking at, on the next screen and the next screen, they're all tuning in right now for one reason. They want to know, most of them know who Mark Lassagne is, but there are some out there that don't quite get what this was all about. And like I said, I'm hoping that we're answering the questions that you want answered. If, and again, type them into this message board if we're not answering them. And since I don't see a lot of questions, I'm guessing we're getting a lot of them. So, that we're answering a lot of them. Yeah, either that. Yeah, there's always that chance. But I think getting to know the owner and understanding, and the fact that you have been, so open and so honest about this and what you're expecting and what you want to do with this thing, and being able to know the amount of, other tournament circuits that and the people you fished with and the relationships you created. That's all important stuff for all these people to know. And I think this is an open forum again to just come in and ask questions. And if there's something you need to know, please ask us. And don't feel like it has to be right this second. If it is, great. If you have it over the course of the year, I know Mark is always open to, picking up the phone and answering questions. He's done it for years. He does it with me. He does it with everybody that I know. So, he's going to be a pretty much open book in this whole deal. And, so yeah, anything you got, let's hear from let's hear from the angler group here.
It says, what are the requalifications? Do we get a set number to be in your, I assume it's a set number of Pro-Am qualifiers that will make it to the Pro Tour. I'm going to say it was at least 10, but possibly the top 20. So I kind of want to see how things shake out, but it'll definitely be the top 10 from the BAM Pro-Ams will make the Pro Tour.
Okay.
Hope that answers your question, Zach. Once we are in, we are guaranteed 2 years. Yes. Once you're in, you're guaranteed to be in 2 years.
That's
so
important.
Guys that get an invite that get in and have a bad year, you still have another shot.
What's going to be, what'll be your cut line?
Good question.
If you have 60 that you're kind of holding for, it's how many of those are going to have to requalify?
That's a good question. I have not determined that yet.
All right.
So, yeah, I mean, just to be honest, that's where we're at. So,
yeah. Okay. Is there anything you have just come, like, hey, all of a sudden, this is what we decided on something. I know we've got, a few more days to go before we get going, but it's coming fast. This tour is, coming real quick. I mean,
it's yeah, I mean, it seems like just yesterday it was July and I bought some trailers and release boats. Well, I got have all the stuff out of the trailers pretty much in my garage, which is packed solid. And then I got to figure out what to do with all that and how to organize the trailer. We got the one release boat, which, was supposedly only needed a little bit of work, needed a lot of work. And I have, Rick and Kirk and Billy Hines all helped me just a ton on it. Russ Valesco came and did a bunch of welding on it. We had to rebuild the whole front end and put new flooring in, wiring. And I think we spent 12 days on that release boat that only needed a little bit of work. And now it's over at Corey's getting wrapped. So that one's done. The trailer's wrapped. It's out in front of my house. So if anybody drives by in Dixon, you can't miss that thing. It's big and green. You can't miss it. You won't miss it going down the road. So, which is what we like. Looks like my boat.
All right. Somebody here with the how will your weigh-in process go? Is it going to be, with the trailer and all that, and the new release boat? Obviously, you have your own release boat, which is going to be amazing. But how well is it going to? Do you pretty much think you have it dialed in on how you want the release to go and all that, the weigh-ins to go?
We're going to do some dry runs because I've never done a weigh-in from the backside of the trailer. So we're going to do some dry runs. That's why the trailer's here. I'm going to set everything up. you're actually going to come by, whether you knew it or not, and help us out. I got a couple other guys going to volunteer to come by and help us set this all up. But my theory is that we're going to go through the bump, tanks. We'll bump the fish. We're going to call a number. And then that's a whole nother thing, setting up the whole numbering system, and anglers will have a computer up there with some things up there. And then the angler will be up on the stage with you, weigh the fish, and then I'll have somebody take the fish. Probably, one of the high school kids take the fish away and go put them in the release boat. Unless you're going to take some pictures, we'll have a backdrop set up where we can have pictures taken, and we'll take pictures on stage also. So that's kind of a quick rundown of what the weigh-in will be like.
Okay.
I'm going to mimic after MLF because, I think they do a really good job. I was just at the championship where they had, 200 boats, so 400 anglers, and they whipped right through it, and they did a really good job. So I think if I model after what they're doing, that'll go well.
Okay, that sounds good. I mean, it's. I think that's one of the big things out here, having your own release boat and that sort of thing. How many fish can you only have, maybe 60, 65 anglers to start with here. Will you have enough room in the release boat for that many fish?
Oh yeah, for sure. It's a big tank in the release boat.
Okay. Yeah, and that's something else that, is, do we got to stop and wait and cut and then go release fish and that sort of thing. So if you get enough room, that'll be great. What other questions we got out here? Anybody?
Says, are you going to be funny Ed or PC Ed on the mic?
PC. I can't. I was told that before I even said yes to this question. Mark already told me I got to go out and apologize to everybody I've ever offended. You know how long it's taken me? I still haven't got everybody's number down.
But yeah, we're going to model after Alan and Chris Jones. And those guys are amazing. So, we talked about it. And
yeah,
I think it's going to be good.
I'm going to do the very best that I can to really, my job up there is to promote you guys, is to pump you up a little bit, get you talking. I want you to talk as well up there on the stage as you possibly can, because, honestly, your sponsors deserve that. You've promised them that you're going to do it. I want to pump you up, get you going, get you excited about being up there and promoting this tour and getting you excited to come up there. And when you come up, I want you to be excited to know that I'm going to be standing there going, let's go. Let's see what you got. Come on. You were last year's grand champion. Let's see what you got now. So yeah, we're going to be doing the best we can to really get you guys going. That's my job.
It's going to be good. So I think we used up our hour, and I see people leaving the meeting. So that means, as they start walking out the door, it's probably time to close it out.
Hey, and that's good. I mean, at least I'm hoping that we answered all the questions that we possibly could, that you guys were, had it or were interested in. And, Mark, thanks for doing this. I'm glad that we could get together, and as this thing gets closer and closer and closer, I'm sure there'll be more questions, but you know what, within the first couple tournaments, I'm sure there'll be even more, and they will slowly but surely come out. So Mark, thanks again for doing this, man. I appreciate it.
All right, anybody has any questions, feel free to reach out, text, call, email. Message, don't message on social, email, call, or because I have so many social channels, sometimes those get lost. So anyway, happy to answer questions. Thank you all for being here.
Yeah, thanks everybody for tuning in tonight, and be looking for this next Wednesday on the podcast. I'll get it all completely edited up, get the commercials in it. Oakley coming on board, so that'll be a good one there. And talk to you all later. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.